All right, who's going to do the intro?
Hey everybody, welcome to the Holy Wackos podcast. I'm here with Mariah and Zach, and we are going to do an excellent episode here today. Zach, what's going to happen today?
Today, Ethan, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, is going to share his testimony.
Am I?
Yeah, you are. What do you mean, am I?
Well, I mean, you're the one with the itinerary.
Okay, how are you doing, Mariah?
I'm just chilling.
You just chilling?
I'm just chilling.
You just chilling?
I'm just chilling.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
How are you, Ethan?
I'm doing fine. Is my mic working? Like on the soundboard, is it working?
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, yeah, your mic is working.
I just want to make sure.
Stop
Yeah.
yawning. Sorry, we have dogs in here.
We actually
Don't
let the dogs in today.
yawn.
Yeah,
What do you
dogs
mean?
cannot yawn today.
Nope. It's illegal today.
It is illegal. All right. Well, Ethan,
Yeah.
how did you find God? What is your testimony?
Well, the easiest way to put it is I was always kind of raised in it. I think you guys had Colin on here a few weeks ago, and he sort of said the same thing. Because I was introduced to God very early in my life. The concept of a being that created the heavens and the earth and all these things. And over the course of time, I'm a big... So Benjamin Franklin said that if my God used logic to define the universe, I can use logic to define if there's a God or logic behind certain things that go on in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are certain... that's obviously not everything spiritual. You can logic it through, obviously, but you can use logic because God used logic in a lot of ways. So I always try to take things on logically with God, as far as like, if you think about certain scientific ways of going about it, like the universe had like about a 0.000 plus whatever. It was a very low number. I had the number memorized for a time that it could have ever happened, that the universe could have ever been created in the way that it has now. And all these other things happen however way they happened. So the logic goes, somebody made this.
Yeah.
Some people think it's a simulation. I don't think it's a simulation, but
We're all AI.
we're all fake. So the idea of something creating always made sense also, because I mean, it's going to sound weird, but I don't like authority. I don't like being told what to do.
I feel like a lot of people are like that, though.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of thing. And I also don't like being told this is your belief system, even though my grandfather is a pastor still to this day. I never liked the idea of being forced to believe something. So I've spent a lot of my life saying, I want to put this under as much scrutiny as possible and see if it holds up. Right?
Right.
And the idea of God always made sense to me. So I think that's probably the best version of a testimony you're going to get. My idea of God has changed and evolved over time. I think when you're younger, you think of God as this like unattainable thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're never going to be like God, which I mean, I'm never going to be like God, but like you're never going to be worthy. It's really, when you're younger, that's sort of where your brain goes. Like God is omnipresent, omnipotent, all powerful, all these things. And when you get older and you start to like disagree with your parents or your family and say this doesn't make any sense, or certain parts of this don't make sense, you start to go look other places. And there are certain aspects, again, there's obviously certain things that come with just belief. The saying there's very rare chance that the Big Bang actually happened, or very low chance that this could have ever happened. It's not an argument. I'm not trying to argue with anybody when I make the point of I think there's a God. I choose to believe there's a God because it makes the most sense to me. The idea of saying I don't think the Big Bang Theory happened, or I don't think it happened in the way that you're talking about it, does not inherently mean that God is, I know this is what happened, and you have to say that to everybody else, because everybody's eventually going to take their own piece from it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
God just made the most sense to me. So, I mean, that's really what it is. My idea of God has changed over time, like I said. I'm touching the mic. You didn't want me to do that. Where it's like...
Just everybody touch their mics.
Yeah.
Everybody just...
Everybody.
Yeah, like I said, my idea of God changed from being this big thing that you could never really be with, to where now I think my relationship with God is more so like talking to a friend, which when you read the Bible really is just what Jesus wanted. And if you go back to Genesis, God wanted companionship. It doesn't mean you don't have that respect. It doesn't mean you don't have the respect of, I think that this is the creator of the universe, or I believe this is the creator of the universe. It just means that you can be friends with your boss at work,
Yeah.
I did. And, I don't, I think that God sent Jesus, because I do believe the story of Jesus, sent Jesus to have a relationship with us and had a relationship with an individual. That's why we're all different. Everybody's different for a different reason. So God wants to have a relationship with you, with Zach, with Mariah. And so, yeah, I sort of think of God more as a friend and all, a powerful friend. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, who, you ask help for them and all these things. But yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. I think of God as a friend and a companion now, more than in the past when I was sort of standoffish about God. So yeah, the testimony really is, I was raised in it. I always challenged it growing up, and now I don't know God through my grandfather or through my parents or through my brother or through anybody. I know God through my own upbringing.
I think that's really great, though, because I think that further builds that personalized relationship with him. Yeah. More than anything else. Yeah. Because you choose it. At the end of the day, it's an active, intentional choice.
Yeah. And I mean, some people are going to hate me for this. I don't sit down and go
trigger warning?
I don't sit down and go, dear Lord, creator of the heavens and the earth, my wonderful upbringing, I just, hey God, how's it going?
Yeah. I do that too. Mine's I don't want to say it's very casual, but it's like, Lord, these people are testing my patience today.
God, please help me. This person in the semi-tractor trailer almost killed me twice.
I know me last week when I almost got in a bad accident. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I almost died. Did you see that, dude? Dude, did you see that? And he's like, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, thanks. But dang, bro. Yeah. What?
But you never told me that story last week.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So I almost died last week.
How?
So I was sitting at the red light up at the intersection of Walmart right there by Aldi's. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting at the light waiting to turn left because, it's illegal to turn left on a red light. And I was holding my phone looking up where to get this stuff at Lowe's because I have to get this insecticide for my back patio. And I was paying attention, though, and I looked up at the light, and right as I looked up, this woman, she was probably about in her 60s, runs the light and is turning and comes this close to hitting my car, and I wanted to swerve, but all I could physically do was drop my phone and go, and then she, honked at me and flipped me off as she was driving past me.
What?
And I'm like... And I was in such shock for a second that when the light turned green for me to go, I kind of just sat there and I was like, I gotta go. So I pulled into the Lowe's parking lot and I broke down and started having a panic attack and started crying. And because the way that she was going so fast, she was going at least 45. So if she would have hit me, because I've seen accidents with my car, if she would have hit me, it would have crushed in towards my engine block. Yeah. And probably would have made the dash collapse on my lap.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I'm so happy you're alive.
Yeah, me too. That happened, and I called my mom, and I immediately started panicking, and I was like, I don't know what to do, and she's like, you didn't call Jack? And I was like, no, why would I call Jack? Why does everybody, why? And she's like, well, I just kind of figured if you called him, he would have probably prayed with you, and I was like, be quiet, I almost died. So, yeah.
Okay, back on topic here.
Sorry.
Oh, we're on a topic.
Yeah. Ethan, what's been, I'm trying to think of it. How have you stayed in faith and what struggles have you had with your faith with God?
Almost died several times.
Yay, we love a good death story.
Yeah, same here.
Zach knows the most recent story. I was in Idaho. Don't ask why. I was in Idaho driving.
We brought this up 10 times in 2 days.
Oh.
No, I
stop.
did.
Oh.
Whenever it was, no, not recently. Whenever it first happened.
Oh, you were telling everybody?
Yeah, I was like, hey, Ethan, remember when you almost died? And it was just 12 hours later.
Well, so I almost ran I did run face first into a brick wall on a bike one time. I've been in a car wreck that the car flipped over 8 times. And then most recently, the back rear tire on my car exploded in a snowstorm in Idaho, and I spun out, and basically the officer said if I hadn't done exactly what I did, which was the Lightning McQueen turn right to go left to stop spin, because I was spinning.
Yeah.
To stop spinning, he said, yeah, if you hadn't done that, you would have died. I was like, oh, okay. No, but like other struggles are just being confronted with. I always say like I'm a logical person. I try not to think with my emotions that much. That doesn't mean that you don't take them into account, but I think Colin said it. I was never really, both of us really, were never really given an outlet to express our real feelings. A lot of the time, it was never good. It's probably why I got into theater, was to have an outlet to express some emotions. But oftentimes, the idea, you don't like me touching this. I'm trying to adjust it. Is it fine?
It's completely fine.
Okay. But like the idea of, I don't know, I shouldn't say I was raised in the you need to be a man household and not cry about things, but we definitely were never encouraged or even, like I remember I had something that was really bothering me, and I told it to my parents, and they laughed at me. So that gives you and it was something that really bothered me. So I was what, like 12? So that's not really a good place to be at when you're 12 or anything like that. So that was part of it, and in the process, it also kind of felt like, well, if I can't go to my parents, can I go to the God that they love so much? You know?
Yeah.
When you're, like I was talking about earlier, when you're younger, you sort of think of God as this like unattainable thing, or at least I did. And so it just, that was something that really, it didn't mean that I like stopped believing there was a God or all these things. It just kind of like veered me away from the whole idea of like, for lack of a better term, religion. And that was a big thing. Another big thing was just coming to the rationalization, going back to rationalization of, in the grand scheme of things, the idea of a God doesn't make sense, because like it makes sense in the context of we're here and something could have put this here. It doesn't always make sense in the context of like, if God is there, why do these things happen? And sometimes symbols, and you don't always get a good answer from your local youth pastor.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, pastor, if God is there, then why are there people starving in Africa, but there's billionaires in America? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I feel like that's the most popular question when it comes to people.
Yeah, that's a popular one.
Yeah, when people asking like why you choose to follow Christ is, well, if God's real, then why does such and such happen? And I'm like, it's part of His plan. That's the best thing I can tell them.
I remember one of my coworkers one time, I was just like reading some like devotionals, because we were at like the end of a register waiting for some customers to come up to check out, and I ended up just like mentioning something about it, and she was like, okay, you're a Christian, right? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, then like why do bad things happen to good people? Or like why do all these bad things happen to like children or orphans or like etc.? And I could tell she was very heartbroken, because I felt like she wanted to believe, but it felt like she just couldn't believe because she doesn't understand. But also, I remember reading a devotional that was saying that understanding will not bring you peace.
Yeah, but I don't even think it's understanding. I think it's this idea that like God loves you, right? That's the whole thing. Okay, God loves you, but then He's gonna let you live in a terrible place with decontaminated water, and you can't. It's like that. That's the interest. That's the question. And then some people, well, it's just in God's plan. That's not a good. That's the answer that I would get, and I would go, that doesn't make any sense. Why would a God who loves me, His plan B, involve me being in this terrible spot, right? That's the thing. And some people will say, well, the best answer I got was it builds character. I was like, that doesn't build character. They're dying. So, like questions like that have always come to my mind. And then there's the idea of like God is all knowing, all powerful, and always present.
Yeah.
Or all-knowing, all-powerful, and all good. So there's like those three things logically do not make sense. You see what I mean?
Repeat it one more time.
All-powerful, all-knowing, and all good.
Okay, how does that not make sense?
Because if he's all-powerful and lets bad things happen, does that make him good? See what I mean? Like, these are questions that, and some of them are answered in the Bible. God is described as a jealous God sometimes, something we consider not good. But I mean, and then it's even said in the Bible that God has the capability to do bad things.
Yeah.
He just doesn't for one reason or another. So anyway, that's where my brain goes a lot of times. And that's, okay, well, how do I make sense of this?
Yeah.
And there's some things you're not going to make sense of, but that's where my challenges mostly came. Right?
Yeah.
And so
Why does he let bad things
why
happen?
do bad things happen? Because again, without going too deep into things, there's just been a lot of weird things that happen.
Yeah.
Not all of them good. And so you do just go like, are you even there? Like, do you even care?
Yeah, I think if you don't have one of those moments with God, then you can't really,
Yeah.
you can't say that you've been through it.
Yeah.
I like, for people who would just come off as very happy-go-lucky, for me, all the time, 100% of the time, I'm like, to me, that just reeks of fake. I'm like, nobody is 100% happy all the time. We all have moments of self-doubt or what have you, where we're just kind of like, dude, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah. So yeah, big moments like that, and then
And of course, like with what you were saying about being 100% happy, like even in the Bible, Jesus wept, he got angry, God got angry. There's been so many emotions, and we're given emotions for a reason.
And he knew somebody was going to pass away, right? And be, put to their end. And yet he still grieved over them when it happened. He knew it was going to happen. It doesn't make it any easier when it does. Like I can, as somebody who suffers with severe anxiety, I can play out every possible worst case scenario that had to happen is going to happen. And when it finally does, I'm still just as shocked as when I initially started processing it.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, stuff like that. I mean, like, and then there's history behind things, like the finding out that like there were several books that were in the original Bible that were taken out by Catholics in that scenario. So, like, oh great, now I gotta go track down those things. And they were taken out for whatever reason that they came up with at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, but yeah, just stuff like that where it becomes harder to have faith in something when these things happen. So that's why it becomes belief, faith.
Yeah.
Because you go, okay, in spite of this evidence or in spite of this thing, I still choose to believe that there is a God. And like I said, the logic behind it was, how else did we get here? Like, and some people say, well, that's a meaningless question. I'm like, well, maybe to you. To some people, it's a meaningless question. Where did we come from? Well, we're here, so it doesn't matter where we came from. I think that history and where we came from does matter because it can give you an insight into where you're going.
I agree with that.
So,
I fully agree, because if you're saying that, well, it's meaningless to even like ask like where we come from or where we're going, then right now you're just kind of living meaningless.
yeah.
Like if you just think there's no meaning to your past or your future, then that means your present's also meaningless.
And that's something I can't physically, like for me, I can't wrap my head around, is when people just go through life with no purpose.
Yeah.
And not striving to try to find a purpose.
Right.
I'm okay with being content where I'm at, don't get me wrong, but I always want to do better.
Yeah. Like earlier this year, I remember I was just like, okay, wait a minute. Like I was having doubt with God. I was having a lot of like issues, and also family member passing away, a lot of stuff. And Ethan was there by my side for all of this. And at some points, he was just like, Zach, get up from your bed. You are not doing anything productive with your life. Get up.
That's the word of God speaking through him. Yeah. I really believe, because laziness in itself is a sin.
Yeah, I remember a few times, like, I would end up being like, yeah, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna make a YouTube video, I'm gonna do all this. And then, like, a week later, Ethan would call me and be like, hey, or like, are you doing any content? I'm like, no, I'm just laying down.
That's what I get for being in Oregon.
And then he would call me, like, maybe 2 hours later, hey, what are you doing? I'm just laying down. Zach, get up. I remember sometimes he would call me and be like, okay, what are you doing? Laying down. Okay, you're going to get up and you're going to do 50 minutes of content right now. Go. I'll call you back. And that would actually get me up, because I'm like, I don't want to go through this conversation in 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I feel like that's necessary sometimes.
It definitely is.
Because I need that too. Because in the past 6 months, I have needed so much, not support, I guess, but I've needed so much
constructive criticism.
I need
Almost.
somebody kind of like pushing me a little bit physically, because I won't do anything. I'll sit there all day and when I'm off on my phone, and I won't take care of my mom like I need to be doing. I won't take care of myself like I need to be doing. And I'm just sitting here wondering why nothing is getting done. And then I'm overwhelmed by those tasks that aren't getting done, but I don't have any motivation to get said tasks done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a very dangerous situation to be in because I relate to that heavily.
Yeah.
Because I'll wake up in the morning. Like this morning, I had a plan of I'm going to get up before Ethan wakes up because he's spending the night at my house right now. I'm going to get up.
You did
I'm
that.
going to go to my computer and I'm going to edit some of my video. I woke up at like maybe 8 o'clock and I was like, okay. And then I fell back to sleep.
When did
And
get
then
up
I
like
got
that?
up and fell back to sleep. Then I got up and I scrolled YouTube Shorts for probably like 30 minutes. Then I got out of bed and then I wandered around the house. Just like, okay, I need to do this. Oh, wait, I need to do that. Oh, wait, I need to do that. And it's just like focusing. I forgot to take my medicine.
Yay.
Anyways, so
Well, we did film a video though.
we did film. We filmed a video of us singing "I Believe in Joe Hendry." If we upload that, it'll be so scuffed. But I think I'll upload it because the best take we had, I forgot to hit record.
You can upload like
I'm gonna upload.
clips.
Yeah, just upload
video.
the original video and then just make it into YouTube Shorts. Anyways, but
Fun.
yeah, I feel like also the Bible says that constructive criticism is a good thing, and God will discipline. Like discipline is not a bad thing. We might hate it in the moment, but it'll be good for us.
I feel personally too, the people who can't take constructive criticism well are the ones that get offended by everything.
Yeah, I remember somebody describing like discipline and constructive criticism in one way, being like, it's like bitter medicine. Whenever you first take it, you don't want to take it because it's bitter and you don't like it in the moment, but it's going to help you.
And sometimes it's necessary for personal development.
Yeah.
Because if I'm wrong, I'd rather somebody explain it to me, one, in a way that I understand, but also where I'm going to grow from it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to keep on making the same mistakes and everybody just kind of being like, oh, you're trying your best. No, I'm not.
No.
I'm not. I know I can do better, and I need you to tell me I can do better. Because some days I just want to look at myself and be like, you're worthless. And then I have people like Kiana, like, I love you so much. Don't ever say that about yourself again, or I'm going to hit you. And I'm like, all right, sick.
Well, it's like I remember multiple times with my mom. My mom will like say something and then I would like get defensive for some reason. I don't know why, but without thinking, sometimes I'll get defensive when my mom like recommends something. I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna do it that way. And then she's just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, why did I talk like that? Like sometimes I have to like take a step back and be like, why am I acting like
That's
this?
the mental illness, isn't it?
What the sugar foot? But sometimes my mom will correct me and I'll get defensive and be like, no. And then sometimes like I'll be laying down in bed. She's like, you need to get up and clean your room. And I'm like, it's Sunday. Let me chill. It's like, you need to go for a walk. And I'm like, okay. And I will do all these things and I will be mad at her in the moment. But after I get done, I feel so much better. And I'm like, okay, I can learn from this. Like, this is very beneficial, not just for me, but for others. Depending on a certain thing. Like, going on a walk or a run, like, that's definitely beneficial for my health. And also, it's going to help me mentally. And I'm not just laying in bed doing nothing for 3 hours. Instead, I'm taking a walk for, like, 30 minutes and then coming inside and actually being productive. So I'm not sitting or laying in bed just going, oh, I need to get this done. I need to get that done. And then all of these negative things end up leading to me doubting God. Or like it's basically giving an inch to the enemy and they start taking miles at a time.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous whenever you just don't do the things you feel like you should be doing or you know you should be doing.
Easy to start spiraling too because of that.
Oh, yeah. So I feel like with a lot of things too, whenever it comes to struggling in faith, for me, whenever I struggled in faith, it was because I started to do the things I knew I shouldn't be doing. Because whenever I would be in sin or anything, I would be like, yeah, I know I need to be following God, but like, I just want to lay down. Or like, I just don't want to go to work. or like I just like don't want to do this, or like I just want to do this even though I know it's not good for me. But
Yeah.
I think that leads to a lot of bad things happening, and with the bad things happening to good people thing as well, we're all given free will, and some people for some crazy reason I don't understand will do bad things. And I feel like a lot of people wonder, like, why does God let these people do these things? And it's because, well, those people had the free will and chose to do it. But also, a lot of people get mad or frustrated at God because, like, well, why did you let this person do that?
Well, a lot of people do those bad things too because they feel like it's a necessity and they won't survive if they don't because they're not relying on God and trusting God with their problems.
Leaning on your own understanding can be so dangerous because if you go into that too deep, then you can really mess things up, not just for yourself, but for many others.
I mean, you can delay a lot of miracles that way too. I really feel like that's why I've gotten in my own way a lot, especially the past year, about delaying like stuff that I need from God because he's like, I'm going to keep on sending you this lesson in a different person until you start trusting me.
Yeah. Well, back to Ethan, because this is your testimony episode.
Yeah, I think we covered most of it.
I think we've covered most of it, but
I have a question for him, if I may.
Yeah,
There we
go
go.
ahead.
So, what are your thoughts? This is something that I thought of yesterday, actually. What are your thoughts on people studying psychology versus leaning into religion? Because a lot of psychologists, for more context, a lot of psychologists believe that they don't believe in God. And if they do, it's a very agnostic approach to God. Like there is a higher power, but they just can't put their finger on what. So, what are your beliefs on that?
As far as like, do I agree with that position?
No, more as in, do you believe that you could study psychology and familiarize yourself with mental health while still being a firm believer?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so I've never done it. So I can't speak firsthand, but as far as like going to school and learning about these kind of things, I can understand. I could probably say that you could probably still believe in God. I don't see why you wouldn't. Some people may choose not to, or maybe are you saying they lose their belief statistically, or that they never had it in the first place?
So for me, about 5 years ago, I started deep diving a lot into psychology to try to learn about my own a lot better.
Okay.
And now I find that when I discuss it with certain people, they automatically hop on the defense with, you cannot believe in God and mental health.
No,
What?
No.
Yeah.
Or do you, by mental health, you mean like psychological practices and beliefs?
Psychological, just trying to help people in a way where they
Okay.
understand, and then also making sure that they understand that just because I tell somebody, listen, I think of a lot of what you're going through is a lack of trust in God. And then they're very quick to be like, well, you can't tell me that it's, me having borderline from not trusting in God. And I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, I suggest that you see a mental health care provider and also start praying.
Yeah, no, there's way too much, I believe, in church. There's way too much idea of you can only get help within the church or within the Bible. You can only get help from here, which completely goes against what Jesus was talking about,
Exactly.
which is like go out and help people and all these things. And so the idea, it's like with doctors. Like I know a lot of people who are religious that don't believe in doctors, like
Yes.
just at all, don't believe in doctors.
Yep.
And I had this conversation with somebody the other night. Who are you going to believe medically more? The person who, in their own field, we'll say a pastor, right? Let's say, for the sake of discussion, a pastor who spent their whole life studying the Bible or other religions, whatever the case may be. Or the person that spent their entire life studying medicine.
Exactly.
Because God, if you believe in the same Bible, then you believe God uses people. Why can God not use a doctor?
Exactly.
I don't know. I think that there's a lot of tribalism in religion, as weird as that sounds, where it's
No, I agree with that.
where it's like I'm a Christian and thus I can't be friends with Muslims or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be.
I mean, we're literally told to love everybody.
Sure, but I'm saying like there are a lot of people who will say like, well, I love you, but I just don't want to be around you because you don't agree with me on everything that I do.
No, and I have somebody really close to me that I told them I love them to death. However, I don't have to support their decisions that go against my beliefs.
Yeah, you can
I was
disagree
like,
with somebody and still be
exactly.
their friend.
Yeah, exactly. I told him, I was like, I disagree with what you're doing right now, but I still love you no matter what, and I'm still here for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can have those in-depth discussions. Like, I'm not a drinker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that people who drink alcohol.
Bo,
Hi, dog.
Oh my goodness.
Bo. Bo.
I don't really ever. Hey, dog.
Bo. Shush. Bo. 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 Look at me. Look at me. You're okay.
Giving me
All
a
right.
chance to eloquently present my answer now.
All right, go ahead now.
Yeah, I don't drink alcohol. I don't think necessarily that's a bad thing. I think that getting drunk is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't drink alcohol because, first, I'm an obsessive person, and I have a lot of obsessive people in my family. Some of that obsessiveness has been an alcohol obsession, and so I'm not big on that, but I have a lot of friends that drink, and I mean, they drink around me sometimes, and they kindly offer it to me, and I'll say no thanks, and they're like, okay, and we move on with our lives. Because most of the time, and again, kind of going back to church, growing up, not necessarily by anybody in particular, but just on a general level, you're often told, like, alcohol is like this, you're instantly going to hell.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean,
considering empirical evidence, but yeah, it's like that's not a religious thing in my opinion. Where I don't drink. That's a personal thing. Where I didn't present you a religious argument as to why I don't drink alcohol. I presented you a logical argument based off of my life and what has happened in my family. So, but I'm still friends with people who drink, and then we don't get into fights over you don't drink and thus I can't be your friend, or you drink and I don't, because most people don't care.
No, they really don't. And I feel like those who do care, it's just a matter of I don't want to associate with you.
Yeah.
I actually lost a really good friend this year because of that. Because we had weekly game nights at their house. And I mean, we're still on good terms and everything like that, but it's not the same. You can tell, you know, where we'd go over there and just get absolutely like trashed and, you know, and stay up until like 1 or 2 a.m., which is late for me. And just, you know, be young and dumb and everything like that. And now I'm just at a place where I was like, I don't drink. And they're like, well, you should come over and hang out. And I'm like, I don't drink. And they're like, oh, and then I stopped getting invites.
Oh.
And I'm like, no, it's okay, because I'd rather lose a friend like that and gain, you know, others who agree that we don't need alcohol to have fun, and that me choosing to live the life I'm going to live is a lot going to be better for me in the end. So
yeah.
There you go. Well, there's that. So yeah, stuff like that. I mean, the tribalism is a little absurd because you ostracize so many people that otherwise might want to have a genuine conversation with you or might genuinely want to be your friend. It's not like you're an axe murderer. If you're an axe murderer, then I don't want to be your friend. But,
absolutely.
I mean, yeah, that's logical.
yeah. So, yeah, there's levels to it.
And I mean, like, yeah, I was gonna say something bad, but I'm not going to. Sorry.
She is friends with an axe murderer, Chad.
And I am not. Okay, he's retired.
Oh, okay.
He hasn't
Retired
murdered anybody in
ex-murderer.
4 years.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Huh?
Oh, do I know who you're talking about? I know who you're talking about.
He didn't murder anybody.
Did it?
He just
No.
tried really
He
hard.
he went to prison for identity theft
Oh yeah, I forgot. My bad.
and among other things.
Okay, well, moving on. He said, "What's your opinion on identity theft?"
What is my opinion on identity theft?
Yeah.
If you're stealing people's identity, you're probably stealing personal information and their money, which is not good. I know. Revolutionary take.
I'm just disappointed. You think that like after somebody doing that, they would at least have a little bit of money? Nah. Nah. He's over here like, I struggle to pay bills. And I was like, do you? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, wow, it's almost like you need somebody to move in with you. It's not going to be me. I'm not moving in with anybody until I get married. I'm done. I tried.
Anyways.
Next question, Zach.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up this right here.
Okay.
So, is there any final thoughts or any final questions from you, Mariah, for Ethan about his testimony?
There was, and I can't remember.
It must not have been
Ethan,
important.
do you have any
Exactly.
final thoughts or anything about your testimony? Like anything about your relationship with God you want to like add on? Like anything you would say to the viewers, the
And anything that I would
listeners.
say to the viewers, to the
Yeah.
listeners.
If they don't have a good faith with God, if they're struggling and they're just not very sure
Yeah.
about God or not.
Don't let somebody dictate. Don't let somebody else dictate or gatekeep you from having your own relationship with God. If you believe that there is a God, or you believe there's a chance there could be a God, go find that for yourself. That's what I did. I didn't, like I told you, like I don't think I ever had like this big, like really huge moment where it's like I just don't believe and I have to go get baptized again in 5 years. Right? I never really had that moment. It was just like a matter of, if your belief system doesn't hold up to scrutiny, then there's nothing there. So you have to be willing to go and learn for yourself. And I tried to use logic as best I can. Obviously there's some things that are always going to be illogical, but I don't know. I guess that's the best way to put it. If you're on the fence, or not really on the fence, but if you want to know God and you see your local pastor is saying some pretty wacky things, and not in this vein, then maybe go find it for yourself and have your own relationship. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, especially in a world now where it's like a lot of, not just religious groups. I just know religion is the main topic of discussion on this podcast.
Yeah.
But so I use that as the example. But with a lot of religious people, religious groups, believers, whatever you want to use, there's always this idea of, well, if you don't believe the exact same way that I do, then you don't know God in the same level that I do, or you don't love God like I do, or you don't. There's always that tribalism. So don't let that discourage you. If you want to see what you can find about God, go see what you can find about God.
Yeah. And my final question. Let me hold on.
So we're not wrapping up.
I gotta phrase it for one
We're
second.
going to be here
Hold
for
on.
another 25 minutes, guys.
We're only like 30 minutes in.
I hope you got some popcorn.
We're only 37 minutes in.
Let's go. I am the speed run champion of the
Heck
podcast.
yeah, dude.
All right. So, for anyone very much struggling with God, like why is God letting these things happen? What would you tell somebody who is just very angry at God? Like, what advice would you give them?
What advice would I give somebody who's angry at God? That's a multifaceted question.
Like, if you could simplify it into just like giving advice to somebody who is going through a really hard time, maybe going through the process of loss. Maybe they already have had someone close to them like pass away. Maybe they didn't get accepted into their dream college. Maybe
Oh, I got you.
yeah, like let's just say into their darkest times. Somebody's just in their darkest times and they can't fathom why is this happening, and then they're just angry. They don't understand and they're desperate for an answer.
I think, as far as keeping faith is what you're saying?
Yeah, like keeping faith, like having that faith with God, or they want to believe but they feel like they just can't believe.
I guess it's a similar answer is go and find God for yourself. Because if you're in a position, because here's, in my opinion, in my unsolicited opinion, if you're at a position where something really bad happens and you say, well, I just can't believe, then you should keep going to find God in your own terms. And that term can be anything. Like the Bible says, come as you are. So be yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I would also encourage people, don't make like big life choices when they're having an emotionally scarring moment, because then you don't look at things.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, you don't look at things. It's like I was saying, like I don't want to have emotion drive my answers.
Exactly. Well, that's the difference. That's going to be like a determining factor, especially if it's something so pivotal in your life. You're choosing with your emotional side of your brain versus your logical side of your brain.
Yeah. So it's like I've had times in my life where it's just hit after hit after hit after hit after hit of things going wrong in some way. Some of it's my fault, and some of it you do have to take responsibility. Sometimes it is your fault. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, I think that, as weird as it's going to sound, I think people are very unfair to the devil because there are plenty of times when people say that it's the devil's fault that my life is a mess. And then, well, you look at them and you go, sir, you could have studied like an extra hour to get a better score on the SAT to get into college. And it's like, that kind of thing. Where
It's like, it's not the devil's fault that you were lazy. Because
Yeah,
you're
there's-
able to combat, you're able to fight. But if you just give up for like 2 days straight doing nothing in bed, of course it may be spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare. It might be something you're struggling with. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just kind of saying, like, if it's the devil's fault that I'm crippled, it's like, no, you accidentally shot yourself on a hunting trip. Like, don't. Why are you blaming the devil for that? He may have been rooting for it, but you're the one that was sitting there with your gun not on safety. Like, what?
I mean,
Safety off.
or the same people who are like, I don't know why they filed for divorce. You cheated on them, like multiple times.
Yeah, like that's several bad decisions made in one fell swoop. So.
Yeah, I was like, there's maturity and accountability.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I never liked the answer of like, the devil made me do it, which was used in a court of law once.
Good movie, though. I'm just saying, good movie.
So, yeah, that's what I mean. Is like, you can only blame the devil for so much stuff that happens. Like, you can't blame the devil if you've been laying in bed for 3 days and nothing gets done. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my house is a mess. It's all the devil's fault. And you're on your 5th marathon of How I Met Your Mother, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And you still never found out how they met.
I still don't know.
Nobody knows. People are kissing their mothers over here.
Anyways, so actually wrapping up now. Any final thoughts from any of y'all? Mariah, any final thoughts? Any final questions?
No.
She didn't remember that one that she had earlier.
No, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's into the pit.
Well, Ethan, any final thoughts or any final words?
Be curious, please.
Be curious.
Be curious. Don't just take. I mean, I understand that like we have pastors for a reason. Don't just automatically agree with everything your pastor says just because your pastor said it.
Oh, I agree with that too. Yeah.
Like, go learn. Go be curious. Go learn things. Like, even if you come to the conclusion, oh, I don't. There's sometimes you can go into the. I'm sure Colin could give you a much better discussion about this than I probably could, where it's like go into the historical context of certain books in the Bible and when they were written, why they were written, and things of that nature. You know, I spent so much time on the Book of Revelation growing up because it never made any sense to me, and you learn a lot of things about the context when it was written, what happens, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
there's other books are similar, so do that and just it gets. Don't be afraid of if you're in a church where if you decide to ask questions, you get made fun of or belittled or treated as though you're not a real Christian, you're not in the right church.
No, you need to switch churches.
Yeah, I've had some people come up to me and be like, well, I really don't believe in God just because, like, when I was a kid, I would ask these questions and people would laugh at me or, like, smack my hand. Be like, no, don't ask that. Like, you can't ask that.
Yeah. Like,
it's like, no, be curious. Like, if you want an answer, then ask. Like, you need to find it out for yourself.
And don't make assumptions.
I think I talked to you about something, Zach. I was looking at you when I said it.
It's okay.
I think I was talking to you, Zach, when I said this. The Bible says to believe in God with the faith of a child. Do you know how many questions children ask their parents about everything?
Unfortunately, the word why has been instilled in my brain.
Why does the train move? Over something as simple as why do we have to eat vegetables?
Why do I have to breathe?
Yeah, why do I have to breathe? Why do I have to make my bed in the morning? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that?
Why are you so mean?
Yeah, why are you so mean to me?
Why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah, and I don't know a lot of children that just like blindly do. In fact, I know a lot of children that don't do what their parents ask them to do the first time. So
yeah.
Be curious, please. Don't let tribalism dictate your beliefs.
Well, with that all being said, I think it's time for us to actually end this episode.
Sweet.
So check us out on YouTube. Check us out on our website, Holy Wackos, at podbean.com, whatever it's called. Just search Holy Wackos and you'll find it.
Oh, man.
So, anyways,
All right.
with that all being said, stay holy.
Stay wacky.
And we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Later.
All right, limousine's waiting for me outside.